there's a moment in his story where he's in the ashram with Sri Yukteswar, who's his guru back in India before he comes to America. And when he's a young boy, he's teens or something, preteens, and the master tells him, he says, Mukunda, I think was his birth name. He says, Mukunda, you need to buy an iron bangle. Like you need to go to the market and buy one.
Okay.
And he says, what are you talking about? Like, that's crazy. And he says, it's in your chart that you will get an illness in the next few months. And he says, if you're wearing the iron bangle, it'll only be about a month. If you're not wearing it, it could be up to a year.
Oh, shit.
And he goes, I don't believe in that. And then Sri Yukteswar goes on, it's about 2 or 3 pages. I think it's chapter 16, Outwitting the Stars. Again, this is my math, I guess. It's one of the most sophisticated explanations of astrology.
Okay.
And it's done so in a way where, I'm paraphrasing here, but, you can Google it, Sri Yukteswar, Outwitting the Stars. And he explains how he says, when the student says, well, I don't believe that. He says, gravity was still going on before Newton discovered it. You don't need to believe in cosmic physical laws for them to operate. He basically says, these celestial bodies are so large. We've seen the space class, science class illustrations of how big these things are, but we really can't comprehend how large. I mean, they're so much even bigger. A few of these planets obviously are way bigger than the Earth. The sun is massive and the moon is pretty close to us. And so when they move around,
you don't feel that shit.
They're moving energy. They're moving massive amounts of energy, and we're ants.
We're ants, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, astrology is just one modality that's sort of a tool. And even then I catch myself, because it can very quickly become a crutch and the center of your world. And you have to be careful, And so it's very much just a tool. And so for me, what I really like is using astrology to understand the archetypes. And there's some deep lessons you can learn in astrology that a lot of people, again, don't like to talk about because it's not the as fun shit. For example, like the 12th house in astrology, where I happen to have a lot of placements, that's the house of loss, of self-undoing, of suffering. But it's also the house of like spiritual ascension, after the 12th house, after you've understood, letting go of your suffering, understanding the impermanence of life and all of these things, which I really like because I like to pair that with a lot of the Buddhist teachings. People don't like to talk about those things within
the hard stuff.
The hard stuff. But there's little nuggets there that
it's just like, when am I going to get a raise?
When am I manifesting the $1,000?
Yeah.
But these are things that once you really learn how to integrate them into your life can really help with the flow, and again, finding that path of least resistance. And it's really understanding these archetypes that exist within this world. That's really what it is for me, I think, at its core.
Well said. Yeah. Do you mind if I read some of it?
No, yeah, let's hear it.
Mukunda, why don't you get an astrological armlet? Should I master? I don't believe in astrology. It is never a question of belief. The only scientific attitude one can take on in any subject is whether it is true. The law of gravitation worked as efficiently before Newton as after him. The cosmos would be fairly chaotic if its laws could not operate without the sanction of human belief. He says, charlatans have brought the stellar science to its present state of disrepute. This is in 1910. Astrology is too vast, both mathematically and philosophically, to be rightly grasped, except by humans of profound understanding. If ignoramuses misread the heavens and see there is a scrawl instead of a script, that is to be expected in this imperfect world. One should not dismiss the wisdom with the wise. Couple more here. He says, all parts of creation are linked together and interchange their influences. The balanced rhythm of the universe is rooted in reciprocity, my guru continued. Man, in his human aspect, has to combat two sets of forces. First, the tumults within his being, caused by the admixture of earth, water, fire, air, and ethereal elements. Second, the outer, disintegrating powers of nature. So long as man struggles with his mortality, he is affected by the myriad mutations of heaven and earth. Astrology is the study of man's response to planetary stimuli.
There we go.
The stars have no conscious benevolence or animosity. They merely send forth positive and negative radiations. Of themselves, these do not help or harm humanity, but offer a lawful channel for the outward operation of cause-effect equilibriums which each human has set into motion in the past. It goes on a little more about birth charts and kind of where you're born, why that has significance. The last piece here, which I think you'll love, he says, superstitious awe of astrology makes one an automaton, slavishly dependent on mechanical guidance. Right. The wise man defeats his planets, which is to say his past, by transferring his allegiance from the creation to the creator. The more he realizes his unity with spirit, the less he can be dominated by matter. The soul is ever free. It is deathless because birthless. It cannot be regimented by stars.
Damn. Mike fucking dropped.
Sri Yukteswar Giri, deep bow.
Shit.
So that was Yogananda's guru. Ooh. And, a lot of what Yogananda does and Sri Yukteswar, his guru, both in that book, is they myth bust.
Yeah.